Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me, there's more of me to grow. Creative in my process, enjoy the show. The will is different when you recognize the different strokes. Different folks, same goals, we all want the most. So when we reach the top, we can enjoy the toast. The type of bread we get is fresh about the bakery. Told them don't play with me. With or without a degree, don't question my intensity. Bravery, similar to agencies that want to see you fold. So just pray for me. Yeah, Einstein with my energy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can understand that. There's something about being a writer where you become more aware of the tricks and the magic, and even down to things like plotting, I guess. Once you realize that a lot of stories follow a very similar plot structure, or slight variations here and there. There's always the darkest moment and that sort of thing. You can't watch a film ever again without rolling your eyes.
yeah, because you see it coming. You see like, here we go. This person is whatever. So before we go too far off into everyone else's stuff, let's talk a little bit about your story and what you're writing. You want to give a little bit about the premise, some about how far you are in it, a little bit just about the story.
Sure. So yeah, I haven't really spoken much about my story or put much on social media in great detail. So I'm not very familiar with kind of actually having to explain it. It's something that's quite new to me, and a question that I dread because, I'm not sure even myself I've got fully pinned down. What's the best way to market this book, I guess, and sort of say, what is it in a few lines. But yeah, I'm currently editing I'm calling it my second draft, but as I've mentioned, I've been working on this for years, so it's my second sort of real serious draft. So yeah, I'm kind of towards the end of doing a first pass through of edits. But yeah, if I had to sort of explain it, I'll try my best here, bear with me. It is a fantasy novel, but when I say fantasy, I'm not talking about elves or dwarves or bows and arrows and all that sort of stereotypical kind of thing with high fantasy. But it is set in a different kind of fantasy world that's different to our own, called Karnos. And there are places with kind of modern elements as well, basically, which is why I think I struggle to define it, because it's kind of a high fantasy setting because it is so different, but actually it also is trying to incorporate modern technology, and things like cars, electricity have all existed in this world. And so there's two kind of main characters, a multitude of characters, like you say, and I'm a big fan of the Game of Thrones style, different perspectives. But yeah, two main ones really. One is a girl named Erin, and basically her uncle is taken captive by this organization, and this organization basically runs the country in a way, kind of pulls the strings behind everything in kind of somewhat corrupt ways. And at the same time, Erin finds a mystical sword, which again is very difficult to explain unless you read the book, but it kind of has mystical properties, and that was something that her uncle was hiding from this organization. And so basically she finds herself on the run, at the same time trying to keep this sword from evil hands, and at the same time trying to figure out a way how can she save her uncle. On the flip side, another character's perspective is based not in the mortal world, it is based in this city between worlds. And basically this race of people called the Axians were trusted long ago by the gods to guide mortal creations. And there's this girl called Zenitra. She lives as a kind of outcast on the edge of the city, and she's kind of begging and stealing to get by, until one day a master at the prestigious academy in this city kind of takes her under his wing. But what follows are some quite dramatic and world-shaking events which kind of change the course of everything. So those are the kind of main characters and who the book kind of follows. And so yeah, I appreciate it's kind of long-winded explanation. I really need to narrow down, like, what is this book in one line?
No, I love that. I love that whole description. It makes me so much more interested in just seeing more about the story, and seeking more. So I think you did a good job.
I should mention as well, the book's called When Gods Slumber. I forgot that.
Mm.
And so also, yeah, you can read from that title. Hopefully there's elements of figuring out, you know, what's going on with the gods and all that sort of thing. And like I said, that city between the worlds.
Yeah, that's an awesome premise. I actually enjoy that a lot, just for myself. I'm a huge fantasy lover. I love anything with the gods it related. I feel like that just makes the story so much more fun. My story also has gods involved, and they're just a major piece of the narrative plot and how everything goes. Because if you have gods in your story, you know, so much of the world revolves around them. So much what people do. I think for me, just to touch on something you actually said, like just being able to pitch your book, right? Like in a single sentence. I've always found that so hard. Mm-hmm. Like I finished my second book and I still can't necessarily nail down how to describe it in one sentence. The first book I'm a little bit better with, but my second one, I'm just like, there's so many things that happen. There's so much that goes on that it's really hard. And it follows 4 different characters. So it's really hard to just say, this is what the story's about. I think ultimately I ended up landing on something about secrets can be fatal. And that is what this story is about. It's just how fatal secrets can be. And the real tagline is like, when you gamble with secrets, costs are fatal. And that's what I landed on. And I think it does an adequate job at describing what the story is, but it also doesn't necessarily cover every piece that I'm kind of exploring in the narrative. But I don't think you can in one sentence.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we write books.
Yeah, you still got to read the book. Is your book a fantasy as well then?
Yes, it's dark fantasy, because I like to just make everything worse. That's how I feel like dark fantasy all is. It's just making stories worse. Whatever was bad can just get extra bad.
I wonder if it's a particular challenge for fantasy, because even as I was kind of reading my notes here, trying to describe my novel, I'm like, well, you kind of need to understand this particular thing in the lore and that sort of like what this term means, which is very difficult to explain in a short amount of time. Whereas over the course of the novel, obviously you can see that in there and people come to understand the terms and magic systems and all that sort of thing. So yeah, me talking about a magical sword wasn't very, and also I don't like using the term magic as well. I don't like things that are simple magic. I don't know. I kind of want the magic to feel more embedded in the world than that, if that makes sense.
Scribble notes when I wrote these quotes. If I offend, pardon me, there's more of me to grow. Creative in my process, enjoy the show. The will is different when you recognize the different strokes. Different folks, same goals, we all want the most. So when we reach the top, we can enjoy the toast. The type of bread we get is fresh about the bakery. Told them don't play with me, with or without a degree. Don't question my intensity, bravery. Similar to agencies that want to see you fold. So just pray for me. Yeah, Einstein with my energy.